As you move through your life, dear ones, you are always moving from the old into the new if you're subscribing to a dedicated personal process within. You're always releasing the old and moving into something new. Many look at that as moving from the old outside of yourself into something new outside of yourself. But what is transpiring is you're releasing old conditioning and old wounding that had been inflicted upon the wounded child. And as you release all of that, you then move into a new level of adulthood. And those shifts and changes of moving from the old into the new, most likely and most often are subtle. Many now are feeling, in your vernacular, a major shift, a major bump, a major movement into a new level of living life in your third dimensional realm. So in those transitions transpiring in your life, what is most important to do, as we just asked you, is to look at what you are labeling as old. Look at what you are labeling as old, as you are now moving it from an adult's perspective. That is why you are labeling it old. And now ready to move and create a greater or major shift into adulthood, to fully have what you say you want as an adult. Many are now looking at what is important and what they want, and they are shifting from that and moving and closing the doors that you looked at everything through the eyes of the wounded child. So it is important now to look at what you deem as old, what you're labeling as old, what you say is old, and simply look at that and ask yourself, why is that old? You may not have a tangible explanation, but what you're doing is moving from needing to label that, to look at that, to even ask the question why. Because you're moving into the feeling body. You are no longer, in your vernacular, feeling it. It is why we are continually asking you, how does that make you feel? So when you look at the old in your life, somebody asks, how does that make me feel? How does that make me feel? How does that make me feel? Each and every one of you now feeling that something is shifting in your life. You're feeling something is shifting deeply inside of you. You no longer need to explain it. You no longer need to prove it. You no longer need to justify it. That is the wounds of the child. You're just feeling it. You're being it. It is why, dear ones, we ask you the question, are you moving from doing to being? Justifying, speaking it, proving it, is another form of doing as opposed to being it. So each and every one of you now are feeling that something is old, and you may not even have an explanation for it. And your only explanation for it is, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the low, dense, vibrational energy of the old. I'm feeling the low, dense, vibrational energy of the third dimensional realm outside of you, and the aspects of the third dimensional realm outside of you, and what is transpiring in the third dimensional realm outside of you. And that is a vast area for many of you. But you're now feeling something different. But you're not quite sure what that is. So in many ways, it is about simply moving within and looking at the old and ask yourself, how does that make me feel? How does it make me feel? It no longer resonates for me. It no longer resonates for me. It no longer resonates. That no longer resonates for me. It just feels old. And we utilize the term old, dear ones, because therefore you're human and you need labels. But it's simply a transition in your soul's divine plan. And as you transition, you release energetically the old. So what we are speaking about, dear ones, is not something tangible that you can look at and say, I'm let going that. Because what you are fully let going to is you're moving into your light bodies, into your feeling bodies. You are now releasing the energy of that old. Because you're releasing the energy of the old inside of you. Whatever is old inside of you, you are releasing. And you're releasing that low, dense vibrational energy. You're also releasing that from your physical body, from your mental body, and your emotional body, allowing all the feelings to surface, and emptying out all of the old that is directly related to the wounds of the child. As you are now becoming the master of the self as the adult. The master of the self as the adult. And differentiating from the wounds of the child and the adult. And that is shifting for many. So you're labeling what has transpired in your life as old. But you're realizing that you're now feeling much more differently about yourself than you ever have before.